past 30 days, I've been diving into the world of pixel art, and today I'm sharing my journey with you. But first, let's meet my demonic boss from hell who got me into this mess.
Team, our department is lacking. We need a new plan to attract more permanent visitors. After research, I found a new art style that could give us a new look. It's something retro, something digital. Pixel art.
Yay, this sounds like fun. What do you think, Angel?
Great. We tried this in the 80s and it only killed 40 people. And you got this. I believe in you.
Alrighty then. I have a competition for you at the end, so let's get to work.
I'm getting a raise one way or another. You could suck it, Alyssa.
Nuh-uh, we're totally gonna win. And with that, I went on my journey to do pixel art every day for a month. Now then, for day one. Day one was dangerous. I started a little rough because I tried to do something super fancy and beautiful, but then I realized that I was running out of time. I ended up scrapping it and made this first drawing instead. It was a real good idea to shrink the canvas and made it way more manageable. I don't like how desaturated it is though. I prefer my drawings to have a lot more color in them. Now for day two. Day two was yuck. Let me be honest with you, this one is so cute. I limited my color scheme, which made it a real challenge. Honestly, the hard part is to show as much as you can without making it too busy. My favorite part of it is the pose though. The balancing act is very readable in my opinion. Moving on to the next day, day three was overtime. I really wanted to draw something with more detail, so I decided to go with a bigger canvas size. I also picked a different color scheme to work with and I liked it a lot. My only gripe with myself is how I colored the sand in the middle. If I just moved it a little bit more to the left, and the drawing would make more sense. I also just realized I messed up on one of the pixel art basics, which is avoiding doubles. If you don't know, a double is when you have these extra pixels that you don't need, like right here. It makes these 90-degree angles that make your line art or your outlines look less neat and less clear. I realize now that I made the same mistake on the next day too. Day 4 was It's Broken. Here I made the same mistake of adding an extra pixel where it shouldn't have been. I drew a character from the anime Girls Last Tour and an angry little slug cat from the video game Rain World. Now about the color palette, I really tried to work with the same color palette as the last drawing, so my colors turned out quite saturated. And I think it gives the drawing a unique flavor. It makes it look sort of like I made it since, you know, I'm a fan of super saturated colors. By the way, also, I think this drawing is a good way to talk about a big no-no when it comes to pixel art, which is pillow shading. Pillow shading is what happens when you try to shade a center area with bands and bands of color, like wrapping it around basically. The reason why it's bad is because it kind of makes your art look flat. The way you avoid this look is by choosing a light source and shading with that light source in mind. On the left is the drawing with the pancake shading, and on the right is without that type of shading. Now for day 5. Day 5 was Glitch. This drawing was a redraw of a Balatro Joker, if you're wondering why it might seem familiar to you. I genuinely love that game so much. You play poker hands to beat an ever-increasing score and use special cards to increase and multiply your score basically. I was trying to teach my mom how to play it at an airport, and then some random guy heard our conversation and was like, "Are you trying to teach your mom how to gamble?" It was kind of embarrassing. I had to explain like, oh, it's just a video game. Now back to the drawing though. I did the same thing as the previous drawing and let my art style shine. My favorite part about this one is the blue cuffs and ruffles. I think they look really shiny with that light cyan in the middle. And let me be honest, I kind of cheated a bit with the colors, even though, I mean, what I basically did is that I added a layer on top of the whole drawing and colored over everything with red. And then I set it to screen, which brightens it up. This was to make the colors work better together. I do this pretty often with my other art where I add a layer on top and mess with random layer settings. It works pretty well. Honestly, I'm not sure what half of them do, but if it gives a cool effect, I use it. Now on to day 6. Day 6 was Apocalypse. With a theme like Apocalypse, I redrew the game art for Project Zomboid. That game is really fun. It's like Sims meets Survival Zombie Apocalypse horror. No, it's not really a horror game. Survival Zombie Apocalypse, yes. Anyway, about the drawing. The best parts are the shape in the front, middle, and background. The shapes are so crisp it makes me want to eat them. Now on to the next drawing. For day 7 was Opposites. I decided to attempt to draw 2 figures in a spaceship of sorts. Honestly, it's not my favorite, though I do like the designs of the characters. Well, that's day 7 done. Phew. To summarize what I learned in this first week, I got through and learned about the basic and traditional rules for pixel art, like limiting your color palette, avoiding jaggies or doubles, and making pixel perfect lines or curves. So far, this week has been a success. I knew general art skills were going to be useful, but it's genuinely really helpful. If I didn't have that experience, it would have been way harder. Before I moved on to the next few days though, I decided that from now on, I would try to take an inspiration whenever I could and try to apply it. By doing this, maybe I could learn about more pixel art techniques or learn different styles. Now on to the next day. Day 8 was the elements. Straight up, I cooked. I was inspired by a recent animation I saw and I did my own spin on it. There's like a little brain in it and I just drew a little brain in my drawing. Also, I loved working with the bright saturated colors in this one. It's genuinely just gorgeous. I also decided to experiment by breaking some pixel art guidelines. I played around with the outlines and the colors. With day 8 down, next was day 9. Day 9 was Paradox. I found inspiration in the amazing animated art of Gwandarian, I think that's how you say it, on Twitter, and I decided to replicate this space/star pattern from one of their pieces. For the next day, I continued with similar vibes. Day 10 was Gateway. After learning about that artist the other day, I really wanted to animate something like them, so I tried to make a little donut that spins. The animation was a success overall, especially since the size of the character is so small. I'm pretty impressed with myself. Well, that was day 10 done, now day 11. Day 11 was Unstable. So here's the thing about this pixel art drawing. It kind of goes against the ethos of pixel art. I slapped on an addition layer for the face and arms and it ended up looking kind of messy with all these extra colors. On the bright side, the character design, it's pretty cool if I'm being honest. With day 11 down, day 12 was next. Day 12 was Mysterious. So for day 12, I decided to shake it up and try a new art style. I found this image on Pinterest which was really interesting. This artist had a very interesting approach to outlines where they used lighter colors in certain areas to sort of transition between the colors. This I later found out is called anti-aliasing, I think. You can actually do it manually on purpose to achieve a slightly blurred look or to soften your transition. I gave it a shot around the head and it turned out pretty neat. However, I goofed up on the cloak by using the same color for both the outline and the shading. Yeah, it looks weird. By doing it the way I did it though, I might have unintentionally delved into something called sellout or selective outlining. I found some forums discussing it while researching, so it's definitely worth diving into later. Now for the next day. Day 13 was your favorite thing, and on this day, I recreated a frame from this beautiful Kyle Arts animation I was obsessed with. It was my food for days. The techniques they used amazed me. I'll link it below if you want to see it. The highlight of my drawing is definitely the gun. The body of the gun is genuinely so pretty, especially with all the bright greens I added to show its shining. So, the next day, day 14 was The Realm. Maybe it was because I played Bugsnax or because I saw a lot of cute food art, but I felt inspired to draw a whimsical realm filled with adorable creatures. However, the square canvas may have limited the composition a bit. Now for the next day. Day 15 was Rage. Similar to day 11 where I created this sort of unstable looking demon piece, I made a mistake again by going against the essence of pixel art. Whoops. The canvas size was way too large and it sort of made it so the individual pixels lost their importance. Thankfully, day 16 got me back on track. Day 16 was Well Cooked. Honestly, as I was drawing it, I kinda hated it. I sometimes go through a cycle where I start with this pure, beautiful idea in my head, but then when I make it, it reaches, reality where it becomes imperfect and all my flaws and just it culminate in it. However, when I push through and finish it anyway, I begin to realize it wasn't as bad as I thought. So even though I kind of talk negatively about some of my drawings now, eventually I'll be happy about everything I learned from them. Okay, but as I was saying, I hated this egg. Well, not the egg, I actually like the egg, but the background in the pen. It looks kind of unfinished and this wood was genuinely kind of hard to do. So at some point I was just like, frick it, and then I added these two shadowy figures over the top and it brought everything together. It made it look like the egg had a spotlight on it. It looks delicious. Now on to the next day. Day 17 was mining. When I think of mining, I think of Deep Rock Galactic, a fun co-op shooter where you mine stuff, grab a beer with the boys, and shoot bugs. You're also dwarves in space, so that's pretty cool. I drew the engineer from the game in the Earthbound color scheme. It was good distillation practice, which is basically just simplifying everything into the most basic lights and shadows. Anyway, on to day 18. Day 18 was eerie, and I loved it. For some drawings like day 11 and 12, I've been aiming for the you pointed your flashlight at something you shouldn't have vibe, and this drawing is the closest I've come so far. The lighting on the wheat is immaculate. The white really stands out in contrast with the figure. I nailed it. On to the next day. Day 19 was Blossom. Just like the day before, I really liked this day. I was really in my element to this point. I think the weird icy blue stuff looks positively cool and icicle-like. I'm proud. I don't know how I did it, but I put so many bright saturated colors together and it doesn't hurt my eyes that much. Okay, maybe a little, but in a nice way. Now, day 20. Day 20 was Dragon. This is one of my weaker ones. I overestimated my time and wanted to do a detailed portrait. It just didn't work out. Now on to the next day. Day 21 was Cowboy, and boy, I cooked again, man. It looks so good. Maybe it's because I put all my stat points into portraits, but this one turned out great. I put way more time into it than the day before, so that definitely helped, and I really got to be more thoughtful because of it. Now on to the next day. Day 22 was Fire. I decided to keep it simple because I I've been doing a lot of great stuff beforehand, and those took quite a lot of time, so I chilled on this one. Now for the next one. Day 23 was pure. I also don't love day 23 that much, but I do like it. The canvas size is a bit too big, but it's way better than the last time I messed up. I also really like this cyan rim light and this bright red background. Those colors are crazy fun. Now on to the next day. Day 24 was abandoned. I experimented with a lineless look for some of the parts, but not all of them. And then I added the shading kind of randomly. I made some really strange choices here. I should have just stuck to one thing. Now, for day 25. Day 25 was peak. Well, actually, the theme was A Hero Will Rise. But this drawing is genuinely one of my favorites of the whole challenge. It is adorable. Positively adorable. I was gonna trace this artwork from a game I found, but then I realized that I wanted to draw it in my own way. I still decided to reference it though for the art style. The colors are beautiful. The expression is delightfully goofy and silly and goofy, and I know that Luffy would probably have been mad at him that I drew him for the prompt A Hero Will Rise, but it doesn't matter. The drawing is great. I literally nailed it. Now on to the next day. Day 26 was all together. This drawing was pretty tricky. I like the expression, the pose, and those little green freckles on the guy's shoulder. I also tried to experiment with the outline and the shading just to see how that would work. It's not too bad, but oh well. Now for day 27. Day 27 was just a dream. Though I think the stuff in the window looks cool, the rest of it is a little weird. I don't know, it's just off for me. Also, let me be real with you. Maybe it was because it was the last few days or something, but I was starting to get hella tired of drawing pixel art every day. I started to get this pain in my fingers, and I realized it was probably because I was using a mouse and like infinite shortcuts on my left hand, so I just switched to my drawing tablet to help. But yeah, by this last week I was starting to get exhausted. Hey, have your hands started hurting at all? Cause mine have. This sucks.
No, they haven't. Maybe just take a break. I can have my Prodigy teammate do it for you. Just give him coffee. He'll do anything.
Huh. Okay, that's nice of you then. Why would you do that?
We may be working against each other, but anything to make our boss happy.
Wait, are you saying that you haven't been doing any of the drawings? I think we should keep working hard. Even though my hands hurt, I'm not gonna lose to someone who cheats their way through everything. The truth is, I'm glad we were assigned this. I really wanted to try to learn about this style, and I want to keep up with all the other artists around the world. They're always improving and learning. And the real truth is, I really want to learn how to make art that impacts people. Maybe if I end up liking it a lot, pixel art could be one way to do it. Alright, so what have you been up to? With my main motivation in place, I kept trucking through. I decided to keep the next drawings simple and small in scope because of my poor hands. Now then, for day 28. Day 28 was Strange Machine. I liked the idea behind this drawing. I could sort of imagine Lane from Serial Experiments Lane just coming out of a computer, all crazy like. Now on to the next day. Day 29 was Sunlight. I genuinely like it. I sort of tried to do what I did last time with the sun character, but this one turned out way better. Something cool happened though when I drew it. I drew it small and then upscaled it, so when it upscaled, it had these really cool square shapes. It looked sick, so I tried keeping some of that in the final drawing. Also, I love the cape. I colored that thing beautifully. Now on to the next day. Day 30 was Wrong Place. For this one, I wanted to draw a simple portrait because as I said earlier, my hands were dying by this point, so that's what I did. It has solid colors and cute highlights. It's simple and it's pleasant. Now for day 31. Day 31 was For You. With that prompt, I was like, okay, let me just draw something for me. Just for me. So I drew this old cat girl character I've had for a while, and it was great. Overall, this challenge was really fun. But wait, oh crap, it's the boss.
Now for your final challenge. I want the two team leaders to get up here on this stage. Alright, since you're the leaders, you guys work the hardest, right? Because of that, I want you guys to face off. Both of you need to make a poster out of pixel art for Hell. The theme is Welcome to Hell. The parties are on fire. Literally.
Are you sure we can't get our team members to help us? I mean...
I've seen what you've sent. Try your best.
Great. I'm gonna win one way or another.
I don't think so.
Now begin.
boss? I think he's cheating.
Don't bother me right now, I'm busy.
Okay.
It's over. Now it's time to vote.
Yes! Let's go! I totally will.
You deserve it. You actually did something.
Thanks. Also, you did a good job.
If 7 decided to cheat sooner, we would have won. We're gonna win next time.
Don't count on it. So yeah, that was the last drawing out of the month. Hooray! Woohoo! I believe celebration is in order. Yes. And though I said in the beginning of this video that I drew pixel art for 30 days, I lied. I did it for 31. So yeah, go me! To condense the main things that I learned about how to do the basics. Like, don't use jaggies and don't use doubles and do curves that look good and, you know, those sorts of things. I also found out that there's so many different art styles and approaches. Like, there's so many different ways to do outlines. You could do no outlines, you could do yes outlines, you could do sellout, or everything. I also learned about shapes and playing with shapes, because with pixel art, you get to take your time and try to get them right. And you, if you like this video and you want to see more, please watch this next video right here. It's about another assignment Hell sent me on to draw devious doodles in Roblox spray paint.
Now, this girl's weird. She really talks to herself a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of her thing.
I did it.